and welcome to the Quarterback's Room. We're glad you're back with us. Yeah, it's been a busy summer so far, and we've been running around doing camps, doing practice, doing conditioning, and so it's been a lot of fun. Just a reminder, the Quarterback's Room is brought to you by Florida Football Prep. That's floridafootballprep.com. Just a notice that big changes are coming to Florida Football Prep. Yes, you'll still be able to get great gear and everything else that you associate with Florida Football Prep, but there are some big changes coming that will favor the athlete. So stay tuned. That will be coming out. Again, go to Florida Football Prep for all your football and gear needs. If you need fan gear for this fall for your team, go contact Florida Football Prep. They'll build a custom page just for you with your team gear. And guess what? They will donate the majority of the profits of each sale to your team. So it's a great way to make money for your team. It's also a great way to get your fans, your parents, the brothers, the sisters, get them all great gear to move forward and go show their support for their student athlete. Anyway, that's www.floridafootballprep.com. So, Miles, we've been going through a lot of different changes over this summer, and as a parent, as a coach, there's a lot of things that happen. So what do you think, or excuse me, what is one of the big things that happened to you already this summer?
Oh, I changed teams.
And I guess the question is, why did you change teams? Do you know?
The team that I was at was unorganized. We kept the same coaches when we went 2-5, and yeah. And then Oviedo has better coaches, it's way more organized, got a better team, and it's a better organization to be in.
So I want to point out that look, we are not saying anything negative about any team. Each team is at a different level. Oviedo plays at Miles has switched from the former team Winter Park to Oviedo for Pop Warner, and the reason for that was really a couple different things. Again, the team went 2-5 last year. They pretty much kept the entire same staff with it that went 2-5, and they weren't really making any changes. There was no real organization, and you kind of have to have that if you're going to progress and make changes and get better. The goal should be to increase the ability of the team, and it should always be to win games. All right, I get it. Pop Warner's a little different. Everybody plays, but the ultimate goal should still be to win games. One of the reasons we move, and this is as a parent and as a coach, when you are looking at a student athlete that has skills, all right, you want to put them in the best possible situation where they're getting meaningful experience on every snap. If you are not getting meaningful experience on every snap, you are wasting your time. All right, we've been in a couple situations like that where either the team itself was you were misled going in there. We were recruited to a team and then everything was completely misleading, and we ended up leaving simply because, again, we were wasting our time. All right, you've got to your student athlete has to get meaningful reps as you move forward and progress. If they have real skills, look, if you're just going there to play and have fun, do what you will. But if you really want to be a play at the next level, whether it's high school, whether it's college, whether it's the NFL, always go where you're going to get meaningful reps. Otherwise, you're just wasting time. So we made the move. We're very happy with it so far. And Miles has been playing, he's been doing preseason work with both his Pop Warner team, and you were also doing preseason work with the varsity team for your high school.
Yeah.
For Masters Academy. Mm-hmm. And how'd that go?
It was good. We ended Thursday. We were always putting in work. It was a fun time, fun experience, and yeah.
So you got to throw and do a lot of work with kids that are 3 to 6 years older than you. Were you the youngest kid out there?
Yeah, by like 2.5 years.
Yeah, because the other kid, I think the youngest was 7th grade.
Going into 7th, yeah.
Okay, and you're going into 6th.
Yeah.
So the it was a great experience, and I really appreciate Masters Academy for letting Miles participate since he was technically still in elementary school or lower school. And he went out there and he was throwing the same throws that the other guys were throwing. He was throwing touchdowns and 7-on-7 versus kids that were even seniors in high school, going to be seniors in high school, and he was still completing those throws and looking good doing it. So I'm very thankful to Masters Academy and Coach G for doing what he did out there and letting you participate. And I thought that was great. So thank you very much, Masters Academy and Coach G for going out and letting him do it as a way to progress. Also, it was a great way to get conditioning in going into Pop Warner, because you were doing 4 days a week conditioning with Masters. And 2 days a week conditioning with Oviedo. And on top of that, you also were doing what? Quarterback training?
Yeah.
So Miles also does quarterback training with Coach Michael Slack here in the Orlando area. Coach Slack is a fantastic quarterback coach. He works with the NFA, National Football Academies. Very technical, can really break down the throwing motion. Really great on helping you focus on technique, and especially if you have a young athlete. And I'm not affiliated with NFA at all. So we are not affiliated with NFA. We just happen to be a customer, quite frankly. And I cannot say enough good things about Coach Slack. He has really, really helped with technique, and especially with the throwing motion and the arms. There's different portions of being a quarterback. It's your footwork, and it's your throwing motion, and just your awareness on the field. And as far as throwing motion and those basic mechanics, you can't touch Coach Slack. So I've been pretty impressed. Yeah, any good things to say to Coach Slack?
You said them all.
All right. So what else have we been doing this summer besides conditioning?
Camps.
So we did the NFA. There was NFA quarterbacks and receivers, right?
Yeah.
How'd that go?
I got the invite to the Duel.
Well, I think you had the invite before the Duel, but the Duel is the NFA's quarterback competition. It's a nationwide competition, invite only, where you bring people in, and it is a quantifiable competition with quarterbacks. What I mean by that is that you are evaluated specifically on different techniques. You are scored. There is a score sheet attached to you. You go by your number. There's quantifiable things: how far you throw the football, how many targets you hit, how well you read the field. There's a written test. There's all kinds of, so you understand coverages. It's a very, very, very difficult competition. So this is the second year in a row you've participated in that.
Yeah.
And that's coming up in like 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be great. What else? What other camps we still got coming up?
What
do you got next weekend?
Beilein camp.
The Beilein camp. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna go and work out with and do a camp with Beilein Trujillo, who is a big quarterback trainer here in the Orlando area. We haven't worked with him before, and we're kind of excited about it. And Beilein is he's trained some of the better quarterbacks around here. He's got like Noah Grubbs and a few other guys that are really, really good. But I will give Beilein props always that he promotes his quarterbacks and his student athletes better than anybody else I've seen as far as a quarterback coach goes. He is really, really good at that. He is really, really good at pushing their names out there and working to get them noticed by colleges. So he has a pretty good success rate on that. And so he's been pretty impressive. So we're going to give him a shot, and we're going to see how that goes. And we'll report back to you after that's over. And I think it's the 6th of July.
The 5th.
Is it the 5th?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll be doing that on the 5th. And we'll go from there, and we'll report back and let you know. And then we have the Duel. We did Top Gun last weekend. Is that right? Was it last weekend? or 2 weeks ago? It was last weekend,
Yeah,
right?
it was last weekend.
So Top Gun is the football university camp. It's basically a 4-day event, and quarterbacks from around the country, and we met a lot of different people. And the youngest group was your group, 31, 32.
Yeah.
And you were 32.
Mm.
What'd you think of the camp overall?
It was pretty good.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
So did you meet a lot of quarterbacks from around the country?
Yeah.
So what would you say was the best part about the camp?
The 7-on-7.
7-on-7s?
Yeah.
You had fun with that?
Yeah.
So what about what would you say was the worst part about the camp?
I don't know.
Without throwing knives or darts at anybody. You know what that means, right?
No.
Without saying bad stuff about people. What would you say was the low part about it? Well, we got rained out. Young Guns got rained out on Thursday night. But Young Guns is the competition where you're looking at the kids that are like 30, 31, and 32 going out there and really getting at it, and they didn't have that, which probably impacted a lot.
Yeah.
But I will say this. So what was really interesting to me was that it was a great experience in a lot of ways, because when you are a year group 31, 32, 30, and you're not being evaluated yet, something to think about is getting your student athlete out there and getting them into these competitions, because honestly, nobody cares. Whether you are the winner of the competition or you don't even place, doesn't matter one bit. And I say that because what you're doing is you're setting them up, giving your student athlete the experience that when it actually does matter, then they'll be comfortable in that situation, and not like kids that haven't done a camp before and they're stepping out there, they get nervous and etc. and make mistakes. Whereas your student athlete will have that experience, will be out there and able to make the throws and be much more relaxed in the environment. And I think that's a great situation to be in, regardless of the way the camp turns out. Because again, whether you win Top Gun in 2025 when you're a year group 32 or 31, nobody cares. All right, they're not going to come back when they're recruiting you for college and go, oh, but he won Top Gun and when he was in 5th grade or 6th grade. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. All right, but it's a great way to get experience for your student athletes. So when it does matter, they'll be much more comfortable at these camps, and it'll be evaluated. So you've been to a few camps now, and over the last few years, which one do you think is your favorite?
NFA.
The NFA camp?
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, Coach Slack is one of the reasons. You get to throw the ball a lot of reps, great drills. You get to learn defenses like a lot better than mostly every other camp.
You know, what was really fascinating to me was that the NFA camps, they don't only train the athletes, they train the parents. And again, we are not associated with NFA at all, except we've participated in some of their camps. But they teach the parents. So for instance, there were sessions where they sat us down and talked about everything from the recruiting process, what you need to be aware of, pitfalls that you need to look at for your student athlete, things that to help them progress and help you understand things as a parent. And it was invaluable, and I really appreciate what they've done. And that comes from years of experience. I mean, Darren Slack, who is the founder of NFA, was a UCF quarterback, I think in the 80s. And he started this before this was even a thing. So they've been doing this for probably 30 years, and they've got it down to a science, and they're teaching kids about nutrition. They're teaching them how to read defenses. They focus a lot on what's called the R4 technique, which is developed by a guy called Dub Maddox. He's a big coaching philosophy guy that has systems about how to make quick reads for quarterbacks, and it's really helpful. So NFA has been a great experience. And again, quite frankly, the experience with the NFA is what led us to using Coach Slack as a quarterback trainer for Miles. He is a fantastic guy. He believes in what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. He knows his techniques, and he's got a lot of experience where he's helping Miles at this point, preparing him for what will be his next level, high school. I remember that drill we did on last week.
Yeah.
It was around the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Making all those throws while the coach is yelling at you. So you have to be frustrated and trying to break you from your game. You got through it all, though.
Yeah.
But with some help. So who was helping you finish?
Yeah.
What was I telling you?
Slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Okay, so anybody that doesn't know, I was in the military for 27 years. One of the things I did was I fought in combat. I did a lot of close combat stuff. One of the things that was important with gunfighting is to remember slow is smooth, smooth is fast. That means just slowing down your motion just a hair makes it smooth. And if you're smooth, it's going to be a faster reaction. If you're trying to go real fast, it's jerky and you're going to be all over the place. But if you slow it down just a little bit, you can be perfectly accurate and make the shots count. And that goes the same with football. Make the shots and the throws count, right? And that's what helps you, and just slowing it down just a little bit. I don't even notice you're slowing it down, but in your mind, you're slowing it down.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that helps. And I sat there each rep. I'd whisper to Miles, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And I think it helped him. Kept you focused, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what do I tell you to do before every snap now? Stay in your head, right?
Yeah.
Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Cool. Yeah, and then we've got the two NFA, or the Beilein camp and the NFA camp going, and then you start regular practice on when?
The 15th, I think.
15th of July, they'll stop Park Warner practice, and Miles went into a new situation. One of the things is he's not guaranteed a starting job, so he's got to earn it at practice. I have complete faith that he'll win that job. He's got a lot of starting experience over the last several years. He's played in a lot of games. And it's not just about the ability to throw the football. It's about the ability to be able to throw the football in game conditions.
Yeah.
So you play golf too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So did we play golf recently?
Yeah.
And you crushed the ball on the range, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Hit every shot on the range. How did it go on the golf course?
Not great,
And why?
because I don't practice on the course.
Because you don't practice as much on the course. So you can be a great thrower of the football. You can make all those throws. But in a game condition, just like on a golf course, totally different. All right. If you got two guys rushing you and about to sack you, if you've got 20 or 4 D-backs and you got one guy, they're showing cover 1 and all of a sudden they drop into cover 3, all of a sudden you're going, whoa, right? You've got to understand in a cover 3, where are you looking?
The seams.
The seams, right?
Yeah.
And maybe the flat.
Yeah.
So that's what you have to know as a quarterback, where to instinctively look. And it changes. It's a lot different than practicing and just throwing the football and throwing the guys on a route. You've got to play in the game and in the moment. It was pretty cool. And I want to take a minute and talk to the parents out there about these camps, all right? Understand that while I said a lot of these camps are a great experience, and it doesn't matter if you place or whatever, depending on the age of your athlete, it does matter to a degree because it impacts that student athlete. And something to think about is if you're going to a camp, it's a camp, all right? They're getting taught stuff, they're learning stuff. But if it's a competition, make sure that competition has quantifiable data that they are evaluating each quarterback, each wide receiver, each defensive back on. Make sure that they're actually evaluating them. All right. If you go to a camp and they don't publishing what the evaluation criteria are, they're just saying, we're going to judge each guy. Great. What are you judging them on? How are you objectively evaluating each quarterback? Are you looking at footwork? Are you tracking the number of throws, the number of completions? Are you looking at their ability to read defenses? Is there a written test? Is there targets thrown, targets hit, targets missed? How are they evaluating that? Or is it just like, I think that guy's better? All right. Those camps, while again, can be good experience when you're younger, when you are older and they aren't really evaluating you and they're just naming people as winners, that can impact you. So be careful and make sure that you are looking at these camps that are supposed to be competitions and looking at how they're evaluating your kid. Because if they're not really evaluating anybody, it may be fun, but essentially it's a money grab. So, I mean, you're paying $500-$600 to go to some of these competitions, and you're really you're not getting a fair and objective competition. You are getting literally just subjective, I feel like this, or I think this. If you see, for instance, if you see an entire 2 or 3 days of competition and you don't see a coach write a single thing down, chances are they're not really evaluating your kid. Okay. But again, remember, at younger levels, it doesn't matter because they're just gaining that experience. So when they get older and it does matter, then they'll be more comfortable. So one thing to look at, if I was to rate camps, I'd look, college camps are always good. All right. They actually will evaluate them. You've been to a college camp, right?
Yeah.
So you went to UCF's college camp last year.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave you, not only did they give you a shirt with the number on it, but you got a score sheet and you went around with that, and you were evaluated and it was put upon that score sheet, right?
Yeah.
So those coaches, even though Miles was 10 years old at the time, were still writing down all his information, every throw, everything. So those are the best camps. If you're invited to those camps, that's a big deal. But if you just show up and you're going to pay your $200, they're still evaluating you. They're still going to mark your stuff off, and those are great. Then you have the mega camps, which are very similar, and they're going to evaluate you and they're going to show you, because you got a lot of college recruiters there, and they're going to watch you. All right, and that's straight up, we're evaluating you, and that's great. Then you got the privately run camps, which is a hit or miss. So again, if you're going through one of these privately run camps, make sure that you are checking out how they are evaluating your student athlete and what they're recording. Because if they're not recording any data, great experience, don't worry about it. It's go for fun, but don't worry about it too much. But anyway, so again, a reminder that the Quarterback's Room is brought to you by Florida Football Prep. That's floridafootballprep.com for all your football needs, whether it's custom team gear, the best prepared footballs in the business. We got great trainers that are out there, and we've got some big changes coming which will favor the student athlete, and we're going to help you guys out, and there'll be a big announcement about that coming up. Remember, Florida Football Prep for all your football needs. www.floridafootballprep.com. All right. So the moment we've all been waiting for. Miles has put together his preseason top 10 football poll. All right. Do we want to talk about it?
Yeah.
All right. So we'll go through this one by one. Do you want to start with number 10 first? Let's go to town 10 to 1, or do you want to start 1 to 10?
1 to 10.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go with number one. Who do you got as number one going into 2025-2026 college football season?
Ohio State.
Why Ohio State? The Ohio State University.
It's probably wrong, but I mean, they won a national championship last year, and it's the national championship. They were the best college team in the country last year. So,
but you think that I would add that I think that Ohio State probably is spending a whole bunch of money on their roster again this year. I think they spent over $20 million last year. They're going to probably spend the same this year. And I think the way NIL is structured this year, going with the house settlement, going away from collectives to funded through the university, but there are still collectives out there, but all those deals have to go through the clearinghouse. So they'll still be able to spend money on their athletes. They'll be able to spend that $20.5 million or whatever it is this year. Plus, they'll be able to get sponsorships for those other athletes. They just got to supposedly pass the smell test. But I think Ohio State's going to spend a lot of money on their roster. But what do you think?
Yeah.
All right, who you got second?
Georgia.
Why Georgia?
They're a solid team. But this year, it's hard to judge on how teams are going to be because of the NIL and how big these roster changes can be. Like last year, I knew I could easily know where I was going to put teams, but this year it's harder. So I put Georgia at 2 because they didn't lose a lot of players. So.
And what about they've got Kirby Smart, who's arguably one of the better coaches in college football.
Yeah.
And I think that when you're changing your roster over as much as you are today, don't you think that it's important to have coaches that can bring that all together?
Yeah.
All right, who you got as number 3?
Penn State.
Why Penn State?
Like I said, they're a solid team, but they keep their quarterback.
So they kept their quarterback, and they got a solid coach, a solid team. And who's their coach?
James Franklin.
And he's a pretty good coach. Would you say he's a pretty good coach?
Yeah.
So again, I think more now than ever, coaching matters in college football, and it's not just being able to bring in as many 5-stars as possible. It's to be able to build a team on a roster that's constantly turning over. It's not as bad as basketball right now, where you're essentially turning over your entire roster every year for a lot of these teams. But I think coaching is really important. Who you got next?
Oregon. They kept many of their players, but they have a backup quarterback who's probably going to start this year.
Who do you think who is that?
Dante Moore. He was like a 5-star coming out of high school, I think it was, and he hasn't started a game, I don't think.
So you think he may step up?
Yeah.
All right, well, we will see. And again, Oregon, big money, Phil Knight, Nike, there you go. Lots of money in Oregon. Who you got number 5?
Texas.
Why at number 5? A lot of people have Arch Manning winning the Heisman Trophy this year and going into the NFL. Why do you think, and they have them ranked either 1, 2, or 3 in the country right now, why do you have them down at number 5?
Because he hasn't started in like a big game. He started in like 5 games his whole career, college career, and he's going to have to face like Georgia and Alabama, and he's probably going to struggle in those games because I think the best team he's played was like, well, I don't know the best team he's played, but the most teams he's played was like cupcakes and stuff.
So he is, you still consider him inexperienced?
Yeah.
You know, it was really funny when he was playing in high school, and I remember seeing some of his high school tape. It was like Arch Manning was playing, it looked like he was playing against Pee-wee football teams. I mean, the players he was playing against looked like Pee-wee players. I think he played at a lower division and where he was at, and that either that or he's just a giant. And but either way, he just looked like he was huge compared to who he was playing against. So we'll see how he does. Who you got next?
Notre Dame.
Why?
They were the national championship runner-up, and they've got what's his name? The head coach.
Freeman?
Yeah,
Marcus Freeman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell you what, Marcus Freeman impressed the heck out of me last year. I think he was probably cemented himself as one of the best coaches in college football. the way he treats his kids, the way he talks to his kids, his athletes. I think that he is an old foot style coach that has adapted well to the new era, where he's able to relate to those student athletes, keep them there, make them enjoy the culture, and build a culture at Notre Dame that quite frankly was probably lacking under the previous head coach.
Yeah.
Who you got next?
Clemson.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Last year, they kind of impressed me from what they did. I think Dabo Swinney is a pretty good coach, and Cade Klubnik is a pretty good quarterback. So,
all right. What's the most important position on the field?
Quarterback.
I don't think many people, because if you look at teams that struggle, they have mediocre quarterbacks. All right. Who you got next?
Miami.
Why Miami? They've struggled even with a huge roster.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of money on those rosters. Why Miami?
I have no clue. I just put them there because I couldn't find any other team.
All right, Miami, you got lucky. Mario Cristobal was Jake Medlock's coach.
Yeah.
So Jake swears by him. But good luck, Miami. You are there just because he couldn't think of anybody else to put there. All right, who you got next?
Texas A&M.
Why there?
Mostly the same as Miami, but they kept their starting quarterback, who I think is pretty good.
Okay. I'll go with that. But they got that. How'd they do last year? I can't even remember.
They went like 9-4, I think it was.
That's not terrible.
Yeah.
All right, who we got next? Who's number 10?
Tennessee.
Why at number 10 and not at number 8 instead of Miami, who you have no reason why they're there?
I feel like Tennessee has like a mid-level quarterback who I looked him up and he played at I think it was they played in the Cure Bowl. I think it was Arkansas State. I don't know.
Was it Arkansas State or did he play at Appalachian State?
It was App State, yeah.
App State, okay.
And App State's a G5 team, so I don't know how he's going to do in the SEC.
It'll be interesting, but I'll tell you, if anybody, as a head coach, can bring the best out of a quarterback as a head coach, I think Josh Heupel will do that.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Josh Heupel is one of the more innovative offensive minds in college football, and I think honestly, I was honestly never that impressed with Nico.
I wasn't either.
I mean, we met him when they were going to the Citrus Bowl against Iowa, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And he had just taken over because remember their starting quarterback had gone to the NFL to clear for the draft, mm-hmm. and didn't play in the game, and Nico got the start. And it was always with Nico, I always felt like Heupel was hamstrung on his offensive play calling to try to protect the quarterback.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is making him not make hard throws that are going to turn the ball over. Because what's the most important thing I always preach to you about?
Don't turn the ball over.
Don't turn the ball over. I don't care what else you do. Do not turn the ball over. All right. But I always thought that if you looked at Nico's stats, he was his deep throws were not good. He was not accurate with the deep throw. And honestly, Heupel's offense really needs somebody who can throw the ball deep to be effective. And because that threat just wasn't that much there last year.
Yeah.
And that's why part of the reason I wonder why when Nico started pulling what he was pulling, Tennessee was like, yeah, see ya. Have a nice day. We don't really need you here anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's a pretty solid. Let us know what you think about that, and we'll go from there. But as far as that goes, we just want to say thank you, and thanks for joining us in the quarterback's room. And we have a special guest. This is Luna, our German Shepherd, who somehow has wandered out here and into the studio, which she has never done before. But
well, no, she did it one time when Jake was in here.
Oh, that's right. We started over. But thanks for joining us in the quarterback's room, and give us those 5-star reviews and like and subscribe. And we're available on YouTube, on Twitter, and we're on Spotify and iTunes. So until next time, hold on. Any last words?
No.
Luna, you got any last words? No? All right. With that said, until next, we'll see you next time in the quarterback's room.